Hello YouTube, this is Braden with Midwest Websites, your solution for WordPress web design and search engine optimization. Falling behind in Google search engine rankings? Find out what steps you need to take to smoke your competition with one of our SEO audits. Link in the description below. Now today we're actually going to be taking a tour of one of the more popular plugins that WordPress has to offer for search engine optimization, and it's one that we've found to have a lot of utility under the hood, even with the free version that's offered here in Yoast SEO. Now, as you may have guessed, Yoast has a premium version as well. It has a lot more bells and whistles and can do a lot of different data gathering and fine-tuning, but in most cases, the free version is going to have everything a standard website's going to need, even for a business website to succeed in where they're trying to go online. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to take a tour of some of the more important features that are going to be used in your day-to-day when you're working with your website or checking to see how it's doing. Now, this is also going to be assuming that you've gone in and set up your Google Webmaster Tools and your Google Search Console. I am going to be touching on a couple of brief elements in those areas as well later on. Without further ado, let's get started. So, as you'll see here, when you install Yoast SEO, you're actually going to get a couple different buttons added to your WordPress admin dashboard. They're going to have a lot of the same links and details. There's a Y button up here that's going to have the ability for you to go in and check on things like notifications or go through their configuration wizard. And you can also check on a lot of the same buttons that are going to be available on the left-hand side here as well on this SEO button here. When you click on the SEO button, it's going to take you over to the general option, and there are actually going to be elements in all three tabs here that are going to be relevant to your business website. The first is the dashboard, which is just going to cover broad problems and other notifications to help make sure that you're covering your bases and avoiding significant issues with your WordPress website. Now, as this is a brand new WordPress installation on example.midwestwebsites.com, we're still using the default WordPress tagline, and given that there are millions of WordPress websites that are installed across the web, there's going to be a lot of duplicate content issues, not to mention that the WordPress tagline is pretty bland and doesn't really suggest anything about what type of website you're running, both of which are pretty major strikes with Google when it comes to search engine rankings. The notification here is that we have not gotten the website connected with Google Search Console. We're going to be touching on that in just a little bit. In the Features tab here up at the top, you're going to have options for toggling a lot of the features with your posts on and off. Most of these you're not going to mess with, but the XML sitemaps are going to be important, as you are going to want to submit these in order for Google to properly crawl the pages that you want to rank on their search engine. If you click on the little question mark, a little drop down appears here, and you can click on See the XML sitemap, where you can copy the end parts of your XML links here so that Google can start crawling all of the pages you've got set up. The last area of importance is going to be the Webmaster Tools tab for your general section. You can go in and get a Bing verification code if you'd like, but the Google verification code is going to be infinitely more important. Don't even worry about these other two. Basically what you'll do is you will click on the little link here for Google Search Console, and you can actually go in and get your Google verification code. This is primarily used for domain ownership and is going to be important for making sure that you're able to properly access your search engine data and other information pertaining to your website. When you go in to get this code, you're going to jump over to your Webmaster Tools here and click on the HTML tag. And then you'll want to go in and just copy this information here. And then you'll go back to your WordPress admin dashboard, paste it in, and save your changes. Nothing too tricky there. And you can also go through and check to make sure that you've done a couple of the other methods here as well, just to make sure that you're covering your bases properly. Usually I like to do the domain name provider and the Google Tag Manager if you're concerned about things like AdWords integration and setting goals for your targets. Now, the next area in the Yoast options that we're going to look at is going to be the Search Console button. You can basically go in and click on this link here. You're going to be prompted with a couple of verifications to sign in, as well as give Yoast permission to integrate with your Search Console, which will bring up a page that looks kind of like this. As before, you're just going to copy this in here, authenticate it, and then you won't have to worry about this any further. This is going to be important just for making sure that everything is able to interact nicely between Yoast and your Google Search Console. Now, the nice thing about these two Google integrations is it's actually going to take care of integrating any necessary code into all of your pages for you as well, so that Google can easily crawl, index, and read your pages, which is no small thing, especially as your blog begins to grow and especially as you start to add more content or pages. And even if you're not a blogger, this is still good for even main pages like your services or your contact or any other information that you want to supply for your customers. So now that we've covered the two main areas that you're going to be focused on here, you can go in and play with some of these other options if you're concerned about things like social media, or if you want some automatic configurations set up for things like your meta titles and your meta descriptions. I personally prefer to let the social media platforms set up what they're going to be setting up on their own. It saves you a lot of hassle, and you can almost always see what they're going to be doing before you publish a post. So it's not going to be that big a deal to go in and set up a lot of these. And as far as meta titles and descriptions, generally you don't want to be formulaic. You want to make sure that things are as unique as possible. There will be some overlap, especially if you're trying to put in things like your business name into your meta titles or your phone number into your descriptions. But it's still going to be important to make sure that you're going in and customizing each page. Yes, it's more work, but it helps you avoid duplicate content issues with your website. And now for the most important part of what we're going to be covering today, how does Yoast help you with posts? Now I've gone ahead and I've just pasted in an unformatted draft of the most recent post on our blog to date. So we're actually going to go in and edit this to have a look at what you're going to see when you go in and start creating posts for yourself. Now, over on the right-hand side, you're probably going to notice that there are two new categories over here for readability and SEO. You can actually go in and take a look at how those are being factored down at the bottom of your post here. As you can see, there are different tabs for readability, and then there's a keyword tab here as well. The readability tab, take this one with a grain of salt, but it is going to be good for helping to make sure that you're not starting all of your paragraphs out the same way, and that your language is relatively accessible to your readers. As you can see, there are a few different criteria that come up here. These will vary a little bit depending upon the content of your post, but on the whole, you're going to see the same sort of criteria with everything that you're putting together. As before, these aren't gospel by any stretch of the imagination, but you are going to want to at least consult them before you go out to publish your post. The keyword section is going to be a lot more important. Now, I'm going to preface with making sure that you know that you don't have to go in and make sure that every single one of these categories is green in order to get a green score. As long as you're covering the majority of your bases here that are listed, you can still get this to show up green, even if all of these are not green themselves. Now, most of these are going to be pretty self-explanatory. It wants to make sure that your focus keyword is showing up throughout the course of your post. In this case, this is an SSL article, so we want to make sure that SSL comes up periodically in our post. It doesn't have to be overwhelming, just making sure that you're exceeding 0.5% keyword density in most cases is good enough. You don't want it to be too overbearing because it can interfere with how your article reads. and Google doesn't necessarily want you to stuff your article with your keyword, but making sure that you're somewhere between 0.5% and usually 2.5% is fine. Additionally, you're going to have some other things that you're going to want to consider. Your meta titles and meta descriptions are going to be big here. You're also going to want to make sure that any images that you put into your post are using alt tags. Yoast does tend to like if at least one of your images has an alt tag that includes your keyword. That isn't strictly mandatory, but it isn't bad advice either. As before, this isn't going to be 100% gospel for every single page or post you do. So you can take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, but this is generally going to be far more important to follow than the readability tab if you're prioritizing. Usually you don't want to have more than 1 or 2 red dots here. Yellows and greens are generally going to be okay. That's pretty much all there is to Yoast. It has a lot of features that are baked into even the free version, but on the whole, these are going to be the elements you're going to use most. And they're going to help make sure that your writing is on point and that you're going to be getting the right keyword information baked into every single page you're going to be working with. And the nice little thing is you can actually take a look at how all of your posts look at a glance, as it will actually integrate both of these elements into columns on the right-hand side for your SEO ranking for the keyword tab and the readability ranking for the keyword tab. Now, this one's blanked out because I haven't done anything to identify what sort of keyword we're working with, so it doesn't have any sort of data to work off of. And that's basically all you're going to need to know in order to run Yoast. It will help considerably with making sure that you've covered all of your bases for on-site SEO. It is not going to be an end-all be-all solution, but it's going to cover about 90-95% of what you're going to need to get started. I hope this video has been very helpful to you. As always, thanks very much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It definitely helps the channel and also helps get this information out to those who need it. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.